talking about talent recognition, definitely one important part is what's coming from within your organization. And then the second part being from external. So I think Racing Star is an important kind of example, like from an external perspective, helping you to build your brand and recognition across the industry. But also what would be a good supplement is what coming from your internal organization, because if you look to have a longer term career or like progressing like internally, I think it's also more important getting recognition from the senior leadership team in the company. So I think in my company, there are some good examples like CFO award, CEO award. These kind of things also help make the talent recognition story complete.
When I joined Honeywell, I remember Maria Street, that you know very well, and Severin, and the team were like, okay, we need to win an award every year. And I was like, okay, but we need to find a category where we can fit. So that was the motto within the team. And I think that was more to sell ourselves to our senior leaders in the US, because Honeywell being a US company, sometimes it's difficult to fit within this global team, and we have to prove ourselves, and getting awards definitely help. And from my perspective, I think applying to award and winning an award, it's what motivates me to work harder. So and like, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but on a daily basis, you work hard and you don't always get recognitions or thanks from your managers. But when they see your peers globally recognizing your work by an award, then they come to you and they say, yes, you did a great job and you deserve that award. So it's a double recognition. So I think it's great.
So in terms of this kind of so-called community support, right? So we have one basket that is so-called Treasury. So Treasury, treasurers will get together and as well as Treasury professionals, and the other buckets in especially in Singapore will be those like fintechs and startups and accelerators. So these two buckets. They are very willing to share information, in terms of in either Institute of Higher Learnings or those forums and even informal chats with those students and those postgrads and even PhDs. I hope to bring across the passion of finance and treasury towards the mindset of the students. Not just that, but also inculcate this in terms of employers and industry relationship, build it up and connect with the students. So that's my vision.
I see myself going out of the treasury maybe in a year, like 3 to 5 years. So myself, together with my senior leaders, we're actually working towards, going into the commercial finance. So it's more towards, the business unit finance director or controlling, and we will see. But that's the mid to long term plan. But of course, in the short term, there are still way more things to be done within the treasury community. To be honest, even before the award itself, I was always planning that. But it's just that getting the award, I guess it gave like kind of an internal as well as the external recognition, and maybe it makes it a little bit easier to realize that plan. But in terms of the benefits that treasury experience might give in a future role is tremendous. Because usually, for example, finance directors, they usually come from the accounting or controlling, where there is a different set of skill sets required. But knowing, especially nowadays during the COVID, I think a lot of companies, they realize that the cash is king. So, and the only one who knows that the value of the cash is actually treasury people. So I guess that's kind of a skill set definitely will play a benefit on future experiences. Yeah.
Business is a competition, but Treasury is definitely not, and we can see that with Treasury today and all those types of events. If you go to a treasurer and you ask him, how did you manage that crisis, or how did you manage that issue, they will most likely help you, and they will tell you what they did in order to solve that, or what product they use, or I mean, we are not trying to hide anything from others, and just trying to help us out.
My career started with GE in 2013, and I was lucky being part of like two of its leadership program. The first one is called Financial Management Program, which is a graduate program where you rotate across different kind of business unit and different finance functions. So that's where I first started my treasury kind of assignment. That's my first year. So I did assignment with the China treasury team, and that's where I started to know about treasury and know about people in treasury. Then after like my 2 year of graduate program, I was part of the like executive development program of GE, which traveled globally on like different assignment projects, audits, and helping with strategy. After the two kind of rotational program, I decided that treasury is probably the place I want to go. So I joined Baker Hughes. That's when Baker Hughes is being separated from GE and is starting to set up its own kind of standalone treasury operation. So like we had a big PwC team supporting us as we set up the processes and team organization. And that also opened my door to really look at how external world is looking at treasury overall. And like interestingly, we had the PwC people like actually coming from the US and coming from Belgium. So it also gave me an idea on how like other location other than London is really looking at the industry and how the kind of the treasury world is, or treasury society is really looking after. And yeah, like with Baker Hughes, it's been an interesting journey building up the organization. And my prior role leading banking and bank relations also gave me the opportunity to be invited to a lot of the industrial events or the events that is organized by our like bank partners. So that helped me to connect with the local kind of the treasurers here in London. Definitely on top of that, it's Treasury Today and ACT being here, like organizing the annual dinners and a lot of the like women in treasury events. And all those has helped me to kind of go deeper into the treasury society. More happened a few years ago when I first moved from China to the US, because that was my first overseas experience and like working in a whole different language. I was educated in China in Chinese. I didn't have an English degree. So when I first moved to the US, it was quite challenging. So how I managed to go through that kind of period of time is to find people I could trust, like basically finding a mentor or a couple of like close friends who can speak your own language, but who also have experience living in that new culture. And then they will bridge you the gap in terms of like what you should learn and where you could start with. And then just feeling comfortable, like basically exposing yourself in front of them, and they witness where is your shortcoming and they help you to go over it. And also just be patient of yourself. Like probably, you know, like at the first year, you might not be able to develop a lot of like relationship outside of work because it's basically not your area, right? Just go with it, like gradually tackle step by step. You will be like first get used to what you are working on, and then develop professional relationship beyond what you are actually working on. Then expand it to your actual personal life and try to build networks.
I've been living in Singapore for the past 12 years, but I have been traveling a lot in Europe because of my previous roles. But in terms of the commercial finance, I think we don't have pretty much of a big presence in Singapore, despite the regional team. But if I would like to go into commercial finance, it's definitely to go closer to the business. So I might be considering, somewhere like South Korea or somewhere like Japan or Australia.
I have gone through the ACT training, which I think it's a very important element of the Treasury education, because I feel like I grew up in China, and we don't even have a word like translating Treasury in Chinese, and that shows the fact that how kind of lack of education we are specifically to this industry. So the professional bodies like ACT really help to bridge the gap from my perspective. And then I think learning on the job, it's also very important, because when you see things in the book and in theory, it's not the same as you really go through a transaction. So through my past couple of years, with Baker Hughes, I think it's good to see start with more the transactional banking side, managing the day-to-day cash management, banking infrastructure, and then gradually moving towards more structured financing, project financing, like capital markets, and then M&A treasury. So I think this is a clear way that I see how the skill set is being different from a more understanding the basic terminologies in treasury, what are the different treasury products we're talking about, key stakeholders in the treasury world, and then being able to really be the bridge in being basically a business partner, as working as a treasury function who is really part of the broader business decision and business strategy.
The way I see it is that the students here are really very, not just the students, but also the faculty, the professors, and the research teams. They are very into this digital mindset, and also in terms of banking, finance, and fintech industry. So that cut across this landscape. So we are very much focused on that.
There are always new products, new developments, new regulation around the world, and you have your day-to-day job that takes you already, 8, 10, 12 hours a day, depending on the time of the year. So plus myself, I have a personal life that takes time. I need to take care of my family. I have hobbies. So what I try to do myself is participating in events like this one, having open conversation with the banks, I would say on a weekly basis. We try to have if not weekly, but bi-weekly touch point with our banks on what is pending on the agenda, but also what comes next. So we push our banks to be pilots on their new developments. So we always stay on top on what's going on in the market. We are trying to understand how we can finance our business with green bonds or invest our cash with green products. This has been hot for the last year or so, but it's also going to be even more because central banks will apply new regulations where our credit ratio will be depending on our ESG strategy at some point. I had a call, I think, few weeks ago with a European bank, with our US colleague, to understand what those regulations and how they will impact us.
What Gino and Tian have mentioned as well is, I think a lot of times you learn from your bankers as well, or from your external parties, or whether it's external and internal, working with the different stakeholders. Like, for example, in Treasury itself, we not only just work within the Treasury, we actually work a lot with the controllers, with the accountants, or with the M&A team, supporting on some of the M&A functions. So, I guess by taking more responsibility, which is not part of your, job description, it kind of helps you to get exposed to different parts of Treasury and broader finance function of the corporate e-commerce and treasury, they are not speaking to each other, because usually we only speak to the finance departments and not to the business departments. And right now, within our organization, there is a huge involvement in getting involved in the e-commerce departments as well, to find out where exactly treasury can actually bring value add, as well as where we can mitigate the risks.